Hi everybody, this is Stephanie from thirdgradethoughts.com, and I wanted to walk through one of my newer products with you, and that is my Bloom's brochure for fiction. These coordinate with my revised Bloom's Taxonomy posters, which I know many of you have, and so I'm hoping that these will be a great way for you to teach Bloom's to your kids, as well as work on a lot of different reading strategies, and I'll talk to you a little bit about how I use them in my classroom in a bit. But first thing, just so you know, there are the 6 levels of the revised Bloom's, and they're each a separate brochure. The colors, again, match my posters. There's also a black and white version that's available that has an empty, clip art. So like the letters are empty and the clip art has no color, it's just the line art. And so I'm hoping that'll be a helpful thing when it comes to saving ink. You could always, as usual, just print the color version in grayscale. So these are all Z fold, so I'm hoping that that too will be easy for you to fold a whole bunch for your kids, or also then have the kids fold themselves. Okay. And I always start teacher time, I always start these in teacher time because I want to make sure that my kids understand what they're doing and what each of these mean, and it gives me a great opportunity to introduce Bloom's and to introduce how our brains work when we're doing the different levels of Bloom's. I'm going to walk through remembering with you. This is an unfolded version. Just print these front to back or copy them front to back. And you can see that each of these have 5 activities total. So in all of these brochures, then there's 30 different activities that you'll be able to do with your kids all around any fiction piece. I use these with my low groups as well as my medium and high groups because they just sort of self-differentiate. And so you can see in the remembering one, it's asking who are the main characters, tell about the setting, remember to include where and when, and then define 3 new words. The inside of all of these brochures look similar. Obviously the questions and the work that they're having you do are different, but the top 2 are always written work and the bottom are always sort of these note catchers. There's 3 sticky notes, a quick separate thing for the kids to do. On the back, this, again, is remembering, so it's pretty simple. Just tell and list. Some of the ones, as you get higher up, will have you, in evaluating, will have you grade or give a rating, 1 to 5 stars. In creating, there's some designing of a new book cover. There's different things with comparing and contrasting. So you'll find that this addresses a lot of the Common Core standards and also just good reading strategies that you'll be able to go over with your kids. What I love is that these not only make great work with introducing Bloom's, but they make great subplans later on if you're ever in a bind, especially if you've gone over them with your kids before. But my most favorite way of using these is when we are working in literature circles. I usually have kids in lit groups of about 6, so it works beautifully for me to pass out different brochures to each of the kids. And that way when we come together as a group, they'll have their completed brochure all on the same piece of reading, and it allows for really rich, deep discussions because they've all been talking about a different aspect of the book. So for example, my creating kid will have a different title for the book and why they have that different title, whereas my remembering kid will be a great resource when we really need to go over the main events and what were the main events and why did we consider those the main events, whereas my analyzing kiddo will be able to talk about character motivation and the theme, all of that good stuff. So if you're stuck in lit groups or if you feel like you need just a little pick-me-up, these are a great addition. And even if you're not using Bloom's in class, I think that these are a great way to intro Bloom's. I have really found, and I mentioned this in a previous post when I talked about my teacher time, that this is just one strategy that I use. I just feel like it spices up my reading groups a little bit more. I'll put a link to how I use my Bloom's posters in my class, and hopefully that can kind of give you some ideas as well. So if you have any questions or comments, anything like that, please head over to my blog, thirdgradethoughts.com, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. I hope this helped. And again, these are the fiction version. Nonfiction will be out soon. Thanks so much, guys. Have a wonderful summer.